my first family dying off. I feel like the second, you know, my second family, my husband and my children, it's like, to think of selling the house at this point in my life, you know what I mean? It's like I'm already losing so much that I honestly just don't know if I can, like, take it, you know.
I mean, it's difficult. I mean, I know I grew up in a family home, and when it was my grandparents' house, but that's just kind of where I grew up. And when it came time to sell that house, I was heartbroken. I still can't drive past that house without, like, thinking of everything, getting a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
It's just a difficult thing for someone to go through.
Yeah.
When something means something to you, as I'm sure that house has a lot of memories, you don't want to let go of that.
Yeah.
How are your children with the idea of selling?
So it's hard to tell, to be honest, you know, because it's like, I think they want what's best for us, you know, and I think regardless, it'll be tough if we sell the house. But I think if me and my husband were like, we want to do this, it's going to be the best option for us, they would be 100% behind us. But I think that they sense our hesitation, you know, so my oldest is like 100% for the renting of it, you know, and I think my youngest will do whatever we want, you know, is basically like decide, and I'll support whatever you guys decide, but just make a decision. I mean, obviously it would be tough. It's never going to be easy, but I think, you know, they'll accept whatever we decide to do because they realize that it's for the best interest of, you know, but just the thought of leaving, because it's where all my friends are, you know, and I feel so alone already. I just don't think I'm ready to, like, give up that part.
Well, I think that's completely understandable, and I think your idea of, you have a year and a half of maintenance in general. Maybe what you do right now is think about, you know, renting it out, and if after the time you've done the maintenance and you guys are ready to part ways, then you can go ahead and do that. You have time to make a decision.
Because life does seem more relaxed in Charleston, I will say that. I think our kids remark on it every time they talk to us. When we're in Charleston, we just both sound way more just relaxed and at ease, you know. So I almost think maybe it'd be healthier to just wash your hands and go down south. But then, like I said, it's just... But yeah, we have a year and a half to decide. And ultimately, at least this is at least one decision in my life that's up to me. You know what I mean? I can't control my sister's health.
Nope.
I can't control my brother's health. I can't control, you know, the feelings I have of being alone. But what I can control is this house, and if I sell it or not. So it is honestly a little bit, kind of feels good that I'm in control of something.
I mean, I feel like people, like, when they feel in control, it's easier. When we don't feel in control, we feel like we're losing something, and that everything's scattered. So I'm glad that you realized you can't control what's happening with your sister or your brother, but you found something that you can control, and it's kind of helping you relax. I mean, I know Charleston sounds more relaxing. I feel like it's a good place to go relax, just have a good time, and not let loose in a crazy, wild way, but to just enjoy your time as the years go on.
It just seems separate. Like New York, I sometimes associate with stress, you know what I mean? Because it's where John was living with us in the house, and, you know, we own that house. Like, all the maintenance is up to us, and I just sometimes think that New York is associated with stress, and Charleston is just, it's retirement. It's a small condo. Like, the house, just even maintaining this house for two people, it's so much work, you know. And it's like, we're in Charleston, it's just a 2-bedroom living room. That's it, and it's so much easier. We're right by the beach. It's just more relaxed. You know what I mean?
The beach in general is more relaxed.
Yeah.
I guess when you talk about this, when I think New York, I think fast-paced, always on the go. But Charleston, you know, South Carolina, I just feel like it's more relaxed.
Yeah.
Especially as you get older, you don't want to be out with that crazy fast-paced scene.
Yeah, and I think it's time that me and my husband relax. Like, he's 74. Actually just turned 75. So I think, like, you know, he definitely wants to spend the last years of his life liking life, relaxing, you know what I mean? And he's earned
That's
it.
what you should
The man
do.
has earned it, yeah. Like, he's a great person, and he's stuck by me and has endured all this, you know, and so I think he deserves a peace of mind, you know?
And things are they going better? We've talked about how your husband's been having some distant.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that, it's so hard to explain. I don't know, like, we're distant to an extent, but I mean, I've been married to the man for 38 years. Like, he knows me more than anybody else, but he's just kind of checked out. Like, I feel like he's like, okay, I'm retired, my children are grown up, he has no relationship with his family. So, like, his parents have passed away, and his remaining brother he's not close with, and he's in fine health. So he doesn't really have the same amount of stress I have, you know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like for him, he's like, okay, life is good, and I'm over here drowning. And as much as I think he wants to help, I honestly think he's just checked out. He's like a space cadet, and it's hard talking to someone and then repeating, like, them not knowing, like, you know, you have a meaningful conversation with him, and then it's like the next day you have the same one, and it's like he doesn't remember, and it's not Alzheimer's, it's not dementia, because I can tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's just not paying attention, you know what I mean? It's just, he's in his own world a lot of the time, and it is frustrating. And I think it's very frustrating for my kids, because he's a pretty older dad for them, you know, and I know that him and the youngest one have some conflict because, and I think she has every right, she gets annoyed, you know what I mean, because he asks the same questions about school to her, or the same questions about work, or the same questions about her boyfriend. And after the second or third time, like, I'm used to it, you know what I mean, so I'm kind of just like, all right. But I think my kids they're having to slowly accept the fact that they have, like, a senior citizen father, and that they need to be more patient with him than other people have to be with their dads, you know what I mean? Like, treat him, I sometimes say maybe think of him more as like a grandfather at this point.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, you know, because your youngest is 26, most of their grandparents are in their 70s.
Yeah.
So, and I know it's not that he has Alzheimer's. I think you're right, he's losing interest, and he just wants to relax, and I think when he asks those questions, it's just to initiate conversation.
Yeah.
And kind of be there for his kids, but in the same respect, he might not have interest.
I mean, that's what they say. It's like, well, if you didn't listen to me the first time you asked, or the second time you asked, why bother answering you again? You know, because you're obviously not listening anyways. But then I feel bad, 'cause it's like, I feel like I'm a little distant towards my kids right now, because I'm so distracted by everything going on in my life. And then their father's not really listening to them because he's just checked out. And so I sometimes feel like my kids are, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't feel that bad for them. They had a great life, they had a great childhood, they have 2 loving parents, they, you know, didn't want for anything. So it's not like there's some tragic story, but I think they were just so used to having such present parents that it's almost come as like a surprise when, like, now we're not there as much as we were.
And I'm sure that relates to your age, and because you keep mentioning they need to, like, realize, you know, we're more like grandparents than parents.
Yeah.
I know, you know, a lot of people who are 26, they have family, their parents, you know, in their 40s or 50s, and they're still coherent in wanting to do all that stuff. But I also understand, you know, you and your husband are older.
Yeah.
It's time for you to not have to deal with any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I sometimes, like, I fear, like, so my children didn't really know my parents very well. My parents were both dead by the time the youngest was born, and the middle was like 2 or 3 by the time they were gone, and my oldest was 6. You know what I mean? Like, so they don't really remember my parents at all. And then same with on my husband's side. The youngest was 4 when the grandparents passed away, and so the oldest was 10, 9, just young, you know what I mean? And I'm just worried when I think of, like, me and my husband and the way that we are not taking care of ourselves, and the way that we're already seeming so old that, like, I'm never going to meet my children's kids, you know, because, you know, they're all in relationships, but I don't know, you know, I don't think kids are really on the horizon for any of them. And so I sometimes worry that, you know, we're just never going to be grandparents.
I mean, it's difficult. Everyone wants to see their kids have kids so they can watch them grow.
And I would never say that to them because I don't want them to ever feel pressure to have kids, you know what I mean?
Of course.
So it's something that I keep bottled up, but...
I mean, I know my parents, personally, it was always, not until you're 30.
Well, that's what I used to say until now, and now when I'm coming to terms with the fact that, oh God, if you wait that long, I'm never going to meet them. It's a lot harder, you know? So, it's just a lot to deal with, you know?
Sounds like it. I mean, we covered a lot today, and it sounds like you're really starting to handle it better and understanding. I'm really excited that you're recognizing all the issues coming up, especially with your coping with the alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, we have that homework of doing a journal, and so we'll be able to, you know, look more into everything, and I think this will be something maybe we'll keep up with on a weekly basis.
Yeah. I honestly think that's a great idea, and I really appreciate you bringing it up.
Of course.
I feel like most of the time when people bring up the drinking, it's either, like I said, in an attacking way, or this is one of the first ways someone has said that I actually think might be helpful. You know what I mean? I'll be able to track, like, the environmental circumstances and my own emotional circumstances to what is leading me to overdrink. And most other ways, I feel like, don't go that in depth. They're like, stop, you know, and they don't go into the whys or the hows.
Well, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think our other goal was to do a sober meeting, and I think maybe what we should do, if this is just an idea for you, because you keep mentioning how it's great and it's showing you, maybe for a few weeks we do this journal, and before you do your sober meeting with your children, you know, work on this journal. That way you have something to show them, like, here's the progress I made, here are the goals I'm working towards. You know, I'm glad you guys pointed this out, and so I really want to work on these steps with you.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think it would kind of, you know, not that the relationship needs to be repaired, but maybe strengthen it a little bit. Because, like I said, I've never initiated it. You know, sober meetings have happened. When I say I do this, because I'm usually drunk when the sober meeting is happening, and I'm always on the defensive. So I think that they'd be really surprised if I take the initiative. If I'm like the offensive one, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that we're making some great progress.
Yeah.
This has been a really good meeting. At least I hope you think so.
Yeah, I feel better. I do. And I like how you said in the beginning, just about, you know, when I was feeling really guilty with John, that it really is probably the best decision, and that, you know, I'm not deserting him. I'm still there. That was nice to hear.
I'm glad. I really want to help you get through this. It's a very difficult thing, and I know I haven't been through most of this, but I am here to listen and help you through all of that. I'm assuming we'll have a meeting next week around the same time.
I'll bring my journal.
Yeah, I'm excited, and you know, you can set that up however you like. Just get like a small little journal like this, or you can type it, or and we'll just go through it, and you can share what you're comfortable sharing. You know, this counseling is led by you. We go over what you want to go over. I don't want to push you to any extremes.
Okay, sounds good.
So I guess I will see you next week, and we can talk about any changes and any patterns that we're recognizing.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'll see you next week.